Now go to other stories. Police in the Ashanti region, as we were talking about earlier, are yet to begin investigations into the threats on the life of multimedia journalist Erastus Donko by Asin Central MP Kennedy Ejepong. Now it follows a formal complaint against the legislator, who is also Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee chairperson. Now we know Kennedy Ejepong threatened to attack the journalist Erastus Donko on live television on his network Net2 TV, saying if he were President Akufo-Addo, he would have ensured that the journalist was beaten up mercilessly. Now, the media group, in a letter dated July 13, addressed to the Deputy Regional Commander of the Ashanti region, demanded security for Erastus Donko, the journalist in question. The company further demanded a thorough probe into the threats issued by the legislator. And as we've been telling you, it is not the first time the legislator is making such pronouncement on national television, and this has necessitated a meeting which is currently underway, and my colleague Nancy Vukania has just returned from that meeting of some journalists and Inky fraternity members. Nancy, thank you for joining us. You are just returning from that meeting. We know the Journalists Association has been speaking about this. What have they been saying?
Well, the Journalists Association is saying that we can't take this these threats against the life of Asari Donko for a joke. We have to see it as a fatal gamble with his life. Now, the association has clearly accused MP for Asin Central and Chairman of the Parliamentary Defence and Interior Committee, Honourable Kennedy Ejepong, of making threatening remarks in a video that has been circulating. Now, Roland Afilmoni, who is the president, says that the voice in the video was clear and the threats were real. And he's saying that these threats were made because of Erastus Donko's coverage of the Ejura killings and also his submissions he made during the investigations at the Committee of Inquiry. And according to the GJA, some people may be inclined to dismiss, some of these outbursts of Kennedy Ejepong, but we know what some of these outbursts can do in terms of the influence they have on people around the world. Now, he cited similar outbursts made by the same MP regarding Ahmed Swale over his role in the number 12 expose, if you quite remember, exposing corruption within the Ghana Football Association, which led to his brutality and murder eventually, exactly 2 years ago. So this is what has prompted the GJA to come up and speak against these threats made by the MP of Asin Central, Kennedy Ejepong, and it's making it clear and urging all journalists that this should not be a threat that would make journalists afraid to express themselves. And the GJ is calling on the Attorney General and Minister of Justice to do something quickly about this, and also calling on the national security to put some structures in place to protect the life of Erastus Donko.
And a little clarity on that. By that, is a GJA calling for police protection for the journalists, for example, in his day-to-day movement and activities, or what? Well,
that was not made clear in the submissions made by the GJ president, but he has clearly called on national security. He didn't mention the police, but I guess it's the same apparatus, national security, to put some structures in place, and I would assume that it's some sort of day-to-day protection now that the committee is still meeting, now that the inquiries are still going on, and now that the Ejura shooting is still very much in the trends. They're asking that national security make that provision so that the life of Erastus Donko does not turn up like as in what happened to Ahmed Swale, which has still not been solved. He also made it clear that the ranking of Ghana's press freedoms in the Press Freedom Index is declining because of what he refers to as a timid attempt to deal with some of these things that happen to journalists. The investigations are never ending, and we never get to the bottom of punishing people who threaten press freedom in Ghana.
Thank you very much, Nancy Vukania, my colleague, who has just returned from that meeting organized at the instance of the Ghana Journalists Association on the latest threat issued by the Asin Central legislator Kennedy Ejepong on the life of multimedia journalist Erastus Donko. Joining me via Zoom is Adam Buna. He's a security analyst. Adam Buna, I appreciate that you could join me, and every time you make time to speak to us. Now, this is not the first time we're having the legislator make comments like this, in fact, make threats like this on the lives of any individual at all. From your reading of the latest development, is it a lost case?
Can you repeat what you just said? I think I got a bit distracted. Sorry.
Right. I was asking you if this latest comments and the threat on the life of a journalist by the Ascent Central MP is a lost case, meaning it will get nowhere.
Well, yes. Good afternoon. For me, I will say that apart from reporting him to the Privileges Committee, what else can anyone do? I would have wished that the moment he became the chairman, in charge of the Committee for Defense and Interior in Parliament, he would have, desisted or refrained from this type of incitement. But, unfortunately, it has still gone on unabated. And I feel that, the executive really cannot do anything about him. And the same way, it looks like the legislative arm of government, can't do anything. If you report him to the Speaker of Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament is likely to make recommendations to maybe the Media or Communication Committee and the Defense and Interior Committee, of which he chairs that committee. So where will it go? My point is that somehow we are getting it all wrong. And I think in the statement, he referred to Rwanda. But Rwanda was just not started by the media. The Rwanda also got started largely by politicians. And so I think that, yes, we have to all speak against it, because then when it affects one person, it affects all of us. If we sit aloof and watch, it would be our turn. I have had my own fair share from the Honorable Member of Parliament. Because he disagreed with me, he went after me, he said other things, but I ignored them. And so I'm not too sure who is going to handle it, because the judiciary, everybody else, have had their own fair share. So where do we go from here? Somebody would have to, I don't know who is going to ask him to stop doing that, because then Ahmed Swale died somehow, being linked to a statement he made. That is not to say he actually orchestrated his death, but it is a statement like this he made that led to probably Ahmed Swale dying.
Now, that cleared, let's talk about the police, the role of the police in this. The multimedia group has lodged a complaint with the Ghana Police Service on this. In fact, they're demanding protection for the journalists in question. How would you rather the police in the Ashanti region deals with this matter, so we do not have it blowing out of proportion and becoming something disastrous we are not ready to accommodate?
Well, I think that even before all of us calling the Ghana Police Service in the Ashanti region to provide security for Erastus, the very day the committee started, I would say, maligning him and going after him and everybody in the media, I thought that the police should have risen to the occasion to give him some protection. But they have waited for this comment to be made about him, and now we are calling that they give him protection. So I would add my voice and say that they should give him police around police protection around the clock, not just at home, but wherever he is. But the point is that as a media person, can you be walking around with a police officer with a rifle? So I'm just thinking that something else would have to give. Maybe the multimedia group would have to move him from the Ashanti region, and so that he cools off a bit. In the meantime, I think his life is more important than the entire multimedia as an organization. And so I would recommend, as one of the measures, they should pull him out of the Ashanti region and let him go into, if you call it, some hiding, so that at the end of the day, those who would want to harm him, would not be able to find him. After some time, he can go back to work again. That would be my first precautionary measure, apart from the police giving him protection in the region. And
is it not the case that once these threats are being made, which is a crime, the police can move in to pick up the member of parliament in question? Taking into consideration the jackets that clothes the MPs, so that when they are on their way to parliament or out of parliament to conduct business, they cannot be arrested by the police. But there could be another way around this, so that he will be invited by the police to answer questions and clear the comments he made on his television network.
Well, I think, yes, the police would have to invite him or arrest him, whichever way. But it is also very important for him and all members, I mean, the speaker and the legislative arm as a unit to impress upon him to apologize, because he rendering a public apology to the multimedia team and the Rascals by extension, and all media men by extension, those who would want to harm him, believing that they draw their support from what the member of parliament said, that the president, if he was a president, he would ask that they beat him. They would realize that, well, the man is no longer after him. Therefore, there's no point going after him. Then we can say, the police should invite him. But the most important thing first, if you look at Ahmed Swale, how things happen very fast. This thing, the sittings is, they are still continuing with the sittings. The report from the committee is yet to be put together. When the report comes, we would have our take, we would have our say. And you know how the committee has gone heavy on the media. So should these things be captured in the report, what it means is that it is further going to embolden some people who would want to take advantage of the situation to cause harm, not to him alone, to all of you in the media and maybe all of us who speak on these things.
Thank you very much, Adam Bunai, security analyst there. We appreciate every time you make time to speak to us here